Well, good morning and welcome to Move Early, Move Often. It is Twisted Tuesday. I am Blake Martin, my co-host. I don't know, he could be anywhere. It's hard to say. But Thomas Karakolis is somewhere doing something, and I trust that those are good things. Anyways, Twisted Tuesday. So we typically focus on some kind of stretching or yoga-ish thing or kind of mobility thing. Today, I wanted to take a little look at my crazy hair. Oh boy, that's happening. But I wanted to take a look at a muscle called the piriformis. It's a muscle that's in the back of your butt, and it can get tight. It can be weak. It can have a lot of things going on. So I want to take a minute and I wanted to focus on some stuff for mobilizing it. Um, as always, when we're working around mobility, especially first thing in the morning, it's a good thing to spend a little bit of time just moving the joint so that you're not putting the joint into more extreme ranges without it being lubricated and at least a little bit warm. So let's take a moment, stand up. We're going to just, all I want you to do is just gentle leg swings, really super gentle. We're just trying to get the movement going forward and back with one leg. Okay, this is like if you could have almost no muscular effort, there would be almost no muscular effort. It's like a bell or a pendulum. Okay, super light. And then same thing, opposite leg. And if you find yourself in the situation of having one leg, then you just do one leg twice as long. And it gets more mobile. And we're going to do gentle spider stomps, just going to the outside, to the inside. Outside to the inside. So we're just doing these little spider stomps, warming up the muscles in and around the hip and the tissues that are around the hip. And we're going to do the same thing the opposite leg. Just gentle. All right, come on down to the mat. And what we're going to do is I'll face you first so you can see what I'm doing. Trying to not give you too much of a crotch shot here. But I've got my hands supporting me behind, yes. And my knees are in front and they're bent at kind of about 90 degrees, and they're a little bit away from my body. And what I want you to do right now is I just want you to windshield wiper your knees. Okay? So from one side to another. And do this slowly. And you'll already start to feel, if you're anything like me, there's places where there's a little bit of stuckness. So just take your time with doing this. No rush. And if one of your legs, like my right leg here, wants to flop all the way to the floor, if I'll let it, I'm just going to let it do that. I'm going to windshield wiper to the other side. Now, also, if you're like me, your butt will kind of walk forward on your mat. You'll have to pull it back. My butt's trying to get away on me. My butt's escaping. Okay, just breathe. And breathe on the other side. Just going back and forth. Now a little bit faster now. And you may have to sneak your butt back towards your hands. And now what I want you to do is have the sense that your hip, okay, so my top hip here is going to push down into the mat. I'm just going to push down into the mat. And that's really what I want to have make the movement that's going to change where the muscle initiation is coming from. Pushing that hip down into the mat. All right. So here we are. We've done just this little gentle warm-up. And I want to do just a couple of simple stretches that are good for this muscle in the back of your hips. This is really great at the end of the day Or if you're like me and you have a slightly tight and weak piriformis, these things can be good kind of any time of the day. So first things first, with one leg bent and the other leg folded over top. Okay, so this is stolen from yoga, and what you're going to do is you're just going to hug your knee in towards your chest. And I'm going to turn a little bit here so you can see also what I'm doing. Try not to be collapsed into your spine. Be very tall in your spine. And you can place your hand on the mat behind you for support. Some people like to open. That's not the objective here. The objective, I really want you to focus on the hip and just hug this in tight to you, your knee. And we're just going to breathe. Continue to be tall in the spine. Don't collapse. And pull this in. Now, what I'd like you to do is, holding your arms together, press your knee outward against your hand, and we're going to hold for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. And hug your knee in a little closer. And we'll do another 10. 1, pressing outward. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Unfold from that. And just leg back and forth, just loosely. Just feel the difference. And now we're going to move to the other side. So again, your lower leg is folded in half, almost like you're in a cross-legged position. Step over that and wrap your arm around your knee. Now, for some of you, just depending on the way your body is constructed, you may need to hold on with your hands. I'm able to get my elbow right around there. So if you're only able to hold on with your hands, that's fine too. Okay, nothing. You haven't lost anything. And we're just holding on, and we're just gently sitting here. You'll notice this hip of mine is off the ground. I'm just going to see if I can just kind of subtly and gently bring it downward toward the earth. I'm being tall in the spine, again, not collapsing into my low back, being nice and tall. And as I sit here, we're going to press outward into our elbow or into our hands. We'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. And just breathe and feel the stretch. And then again, pressing into our elbow, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Being tall, just feeling that, sitting for a moment, and then unfold. And then just kind of wiggle that leg back and forth. All right, nice. Okay, if you just watch for a moment, I'm going to set myself up on my mat, and I'm going to take my leg and one leg, and I'm going to kind of turn it crossways across the mat, and I'm going to flex my ankle. I'm going to flex my ankle so that my toes are pointing towards my knee. And this is to limit the amount of rotation of my tibia in about my knee. And then I'm going to turn sideways so you can see what I'm all about. I'm going to move my other leg backwards. Now for each of you, this is going to be different. You might not get really far back. And what I'm trying to do is here, got to be in the right direction. I'm trying to just slowly bring my back hip onto my mat. You can also do this on a stair. I like doing this on a stair or on a chair sometimes. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of sinking back, and we're just working on these outward rotators here. There's certain outward rotators that actually become inward rotators, most notably the piriformis when you go above 90 degrees in your hip, femur. So we're just trying to relax into that, play around in that as we've done in other stretches. Just kind of take a moment and just kind of move your hip around just a little bit, exploring. All right. And then let's come out of that. And just take that leg backwards and just wiggle it back and forth. Just moving into that. And then the same thing, setting up. I'll show you again from the front. Setting up, and I'm going to bring my other leg forward, flexing my foot and placing my knee on the mat. And then I'm creeping my other leg backwards and kind of opening up into this stretch. What that looks like for you is going to be different. You may need to fold your knee in tighter. So like your leg might not go as far across. You might need to fold your leg in tighter if you have more limited mobility in your hip. Okay? And there's no penalty for doing that, for folding your leg in. I have to do it on this side because this leg is tighter. I would like them to be equal one day, but I'm not there yet. So I have to take my body where it is today. All right, just hanging out there, play around in that, explore where you don't need to go all the way to the furthest part in the stretch. You can be close to the edge and not get there. And in fact, that's probably better in terms of your overall health. It's not to go to 11 in every stretch. And let's bring ourselves out of that. Just move that leg back and forth a little bit. Just gently. The whole idea is we're trying to get things looser here. So we should experience it. You should explore what you've been able to do. Last stretch we're going to do for the piriformis today is we're going to do a stretch called threading the needle. And so it's quite simple. You're just going to put your foot over your leg like this, and on your back, you're going to lay down. And for you, it may be better to go over top of your knee. For me, it's best for me to go underneath. I'm going to lay on my back, and I'm pulling my knee toward my chest. Now, I'm also trying to be conscientious that my spine is straight. And I'm holding this. We're holding for about 30 seconds. You know, muscle fibers, they actually will be fully extended after just a few milliseconds of applying force to them, many of them. But it's the connective tissue around the muscle fibers themselves takes much longer. There's some studies that say that it takes as long as 2 minutes or even more for those collagenous fibers in the connective tissue to fully extend. And so as we're hanging out here, you know, at least 30 seconds, you know, we're getting to the end of the muscle fibers really early on, but frequently it's the collagenous fibers in the tissue that surround the actual muscle fibers that need a little extra stretching. And let's release that down. And just move that leg back and forth. And the opposite leg. And bring your fingers underneath your knee or over, one under, whatever you need to do to make that work for you, with your foot over top of your knee, and just a nice extended neck. The back of your head is on the mat. And breathing naturally and fully. And drawing that knee up towards your chest. Taking the time to breathe and allow those, not just the muscle fibers, but the fibers of the tendons and surrounding connective tissue to just give a little bit more. Breathing and release it down. Let's come back to sitting on our bums with our feet in front, hands behind. And let's take those legs and let's windshield wiper them again and just kind of experience the difference. Huh? Pretty nice, eh? And just do it gently. Not a very stretchy kind. Just a very gentle back and forth movement. And we're going to reverse our way out of this whole activity series. These 3 stretches that we did. We're going to stand up in just a minute. All right. We're going to come to standing. Gentle spider stomps. Just feel the looseness in your hips as you do that. You should feel new areas. I've got a little bit of a clicking here. Got a muscle that's rolling over the head of my femur. And do the same thing on the opposite side, little spider stomps. Leg swings, really loose leg swings. Just allow your leg to be fully loose in the socket. Opposite leg. These are great moves to do after you've been driving for a long time. Just, although it's hard to do it in the winter, in the snow, just find yourself in a nice, stable standing position. Balance yourself between your 2 feet. Feel strong and tall. Just kind of experience that openness in your hips. Feel how that feels. Might feel a little bit warm. Bring your chin down just slightly. Be in a tall, balanced position. Back of your head rises. Your knees are over your ankles. Your hips are over your knees. Shoulders over your hips. Your ears over your shoulders. You're strong, balanced, ready to face the day or the rest of your day. You've moved early. I hope you remember to move often. I hope you have a really awesome day. We'll see you tomorrow for Wobbly Wednesday. Take care.